What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent, and we're back at you with another show. I hope you all had a great start to your week. Today is Monday, and Arlington went back to school today. Fairfax County has been in school for 1 week, so I hope that for the parents out there that have kids currently in school, that you are enjoying some of this free time you may be potentially having. So today's show, we're talking about a very important topic because of what happened during the pandemic. So just to catch you up to speed, in case you were not aware, when the pandemic hit, or when it officially hit in March of 2020, most offices move to remote work settings, right? So because most offices move to remote work settings, that actually caused this interesting domino effect to occur where offices that were not necessarily not interested in, but were thinking about doing remote work were kind of forced to do it at this point in time. And with some success, limited success, or some failure, people, at least the employees, were responding positively to this information, right? That positive response actually spurred a lot of real estate transaction in the Northern Virginia area on the outer regions, right? So think of not necessarily Loudoun, but sort of Loudoun County, Manassas, deeper parts of Prince William County, Stafford, Fredericksburg, because the employees or the employers were given this notion or idea, especially in like late 2020 to early 2021, that you know what, remote work is here to stay. I even have a video where I actually talked about how that's just not going to happen. Too many employers have too much invested in commercial real estate, and also the local governments have too much money invested in commercial real estate, that remote work will just be a temporary fix, and eventually the employers will start to force their employees back to work. I said it when it was happening back in 2021, 2020, and lo and behold, we are here. We are here. So I just happened upon a New York Times article just over this past weekend that kind of talks about this issue. So I want to kind of go over some of the talking points, and then I want to talk about how that's going to affect the Northern Virginia real estate market. Because one thing we have going for us is that we're much more of a knowledge worker market, which means that we're really more white collar jobs. White collar jobs are much more susceptible to remote work, right? Because if you're, using your brain to do most of your work, then that means that you don't really need to be physically at work to complete your task, right? Say, for instance, that's different than someone that works in the retail industry or the hotel, restaurant, and tourism industry. Like, you can't really have a front desk person that's not physically there, right? Okay, so before we go into the New York Times article, I want to talk to you about one of our Fortune 500 companies that's located in Northern Virginia, right? Let's listen to what they are saying about remote work. So this is Capital One. Capital One recently issued a memo to its employees about remote work. And I got a couple things highlighted here for you, just so you can kind of get the idea of what these larger companies, these larger corporations are saying about remote work. I am pleased to announce that we are planning on a full reopening of our offices in a hybrid model on September 6, 2022. As we get closer to September, we will closely monitor the health environment and the state of COVID in our communities. So essentially, what they're saying is that they are going back to, they're trying to do this like clawback, right? Where they started with remote work. A lot of people are comfortable with it. They can't just go with a complete take back of remote work. So now they're kind of easing employees into it, right? So this article goes on to say, on the other hand, we also know that the office environment provides many benefits. So right here, they're just trying to sell you on why you need to come back to the office. And just know this is Capital One, a Fortune 500 company, very large operation. A lot of the smaller companies are going to take this model and run with it. Okay, continue. Our offices and campuses provide unique opportunities for planned collaboration, innovation, and mentorship. And we benefit from unplanned chances to deepen personal connections, whether it be with colleagues on our team, friends we have missed seeing, or strangers we meet in line for a cup of coffee. Far For newer Capital One associates, being in person allows them to be surrounded by colleagues, participate in team events, find mentors, build networks, and accelerate onboarding and learning. So, Capital One here is just saying, hey, these are the reasons why remote work works. I mean, not remote work won't benefit us, and we need you back into the office. What I do know already is that I actually have a couple friends that live in the area. They already own a house. They've been there for a while, and they only use remote work for maybe like 2 days out the week because they're still in their early 30s. One of the guys is in his early 40s, and they want to move up. They want to move up in the management track of these different companies that they work with locally. One of the things that they fear is that when you are working remotely, that it's challenging to more or less network and kind of deepen personal connections, like this Capital One post says. And so you're going to find that a lot of people are just hesitant to even trust remote work if they're trying to move up in the company. So let's continue on seeing what Capital One says. Capital One's hybrid future means that the significant majority of associates will spend meaningful time working both in person and virtually. Significant majority. That sounds like a lot of people. That sounds like a lot of people. An office environment needs to have an appropriate threshold scale to be effective. That is enough of your colleagues need to be in the office when you are in the office in order to make the overall experience enjoyable and in-person collaboration effective. And I left a link in the description to the article for New York Times, where you're going to see that some of the complaints that people who are now going back to the office have is that no one's there. And so they're not really able to benefit from the office environment. So Capital One knows this is an issue. And so they're going to try to, and you're going to see once we go over their hybrid approach, they're going to try to force as many people as possible into work at the same time on the same day, right? So after we go over this hybrid approach, I'm going to kind of talk to you a little bit about how is that going to affect our real estate market. So let's go over Capital One's hybrid approach. Mondays and Fridays will be enterprise-wide virtual work days where associates will work individually from home or from wherever they work best. Capital One offices will be opened with limited services for associates who seek to come in for independent and heads down work. All meetings should be virtual. So, Monday and Fridays, all virtual, right? I think that this is a cool little strategy that they have here because it essentially allows the people who are traveling on the weekends to have almost like a 4 day weekend. But then listen to this next one. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, Capital One office will be fully open. What's strange about the way they word this is they don't tell you that this is a work in the office day. They continue to say, we strongly encourage associates to come into the office and spend meaningful time there in collaboration with colleagues. We also want to respect individual flexibility, preferences, as we always have. You see, companies right now are really concerned that if they force you to come back to work, you may go look for another job. And talent is most companies' prime resource, right? The prime thing that makes them different than most vendors in the market. So a lot of companies are concerned. Now, Capital One is a very large company, so they have enough money to increase the salaries and increase the benefits. So this is going to be probably more of an issue for the smaller companies. But again, you can see it right here. I'll post a link in the description to Capital One's model. And remember, Capital One is a large company, Fortune 500 company that's located in Northern Virginia. Other companies are watching Capital One to see what Capital One can get away with, right? So now you're thinking to yourself, okay, great. We have this large company. They're trying to get their workers back into work, right? They said that they could have Mondays and Fridays as virtual days, but to be honest with you, Fridays has always been a telework day in the Northern Virginia area, so that's not really uncommon. It's that Monday that's different, right? That Monday is different. So how does this affect the real estate market? Well, for starters, Capital One. For starters, think about how people were making decisions, real estate decisions, just a year ago, right? A lot of people were saying, and you saw it online, where they were saying, you know what, I'm going to be able to work from anywhere. So you know what I'll do? I'll buy a house in some cheaper market, right? Or maybe I'll buy. You see, a lot of people have purchased in Florida or even in some parts of Texas, and they were like, you know what, I could live in this place that has a better overall climate. So then I can enjoy my life and work and make a similar salary. Well, as you can see here, Capital One wants to get their employees back Tuesdays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So that means that this house that you purchased during an up market in a foreign market, you're not going to be able to maintain that house, and now you possibly will have to purchase or rent a new house closer to your employment base. And most people don't like to commute from states, right, or even outside the city limits. So what we should see is the areas that have the largest employers, right? Because those areas are going to have the most pull or the most influence on their employees. We should see those markets actually start to become much stronger, even with the negative information you hear about potential recession or potential market slowdown. The places with employment bases, heavy employment bases, should not feel any impact whatsoever because they're about to start moving their employees back to the mothership, right? Back to the home base. And Northern Virginia is chock full of large companies, large corporations. We still have Amazon HQ2 still being built out. We still have the Virginia Tech Hub being built out. There's just a lot of growth and development in Northern Virginia, which means that sadly, people will not get to live this lifestyle of more of a relaxed um, living situation. Because I got to say, coming here, if you're not from the Northern Virginia area, coming to Northern Virginia, a lot of people have 30, 45, an hour long one way commute, right? When you work from home, you don't have that. And that is attractive to a lot of people, like not having that 2 hours out of your day just dedicated to getting dressed, eating, and eating a full breakfast or what have you, then shuttling yourself to work and then dealing with the work dynamics. That's a lot to deal with. I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't, but there is a battle going on between the employers and the employees on what is the right way to move forward. So now let's take a look at this New York Times article, which kind of goes into just a little bit more details about just what the employee is kind of expecting and how challenging it is to kind of move employees back to the office, right? So really the companies, this article starts off with companies have been really trying to get their employees back to the office for the last year. Now, a lot of people may be wondering if companies have been essentially doing their the same task, right? And if their employees are pleased, right, with their work environment, and they essentially have less real estate that they need to rent out, then why would a company want to pull you back to the office? There is some speculation that their employees like to see you, which is strange. They just like to see you, and they feel like they can control you if they can see you, right? So there's trust issues, right? Trust issues with a lot of employees, right? So again, this article talks about how more than one third of U.S. workers who can do their jobs from home want to stay permanently remote, right? So if you've already had a taste of the remote working environment, you kind of like it, right? Your commute is short. You don't have to worry about wearing bottoms to work, right? You could have some pajama bottoms. If you have a dog, you could have your dog in the room with you, right? You don't have to worry about your environment. You can make you probably have the biggest office you've ever had, right? Because you probably converted to maybe a bedroom, or you're out working in your living room slash dining room area. So you have a lot of space to breathe. It's comfortable. You have a lot of light, in some situations, right? It's a very relaxed lifestyle. So most people who are working permanently, working remote, or remote jobs, they really like to stay that way, right? But there's already these larger companies. I'm telling you, the larger companies are going to influence the smaller companies, because the smaller companies want to eventually become a large company, right? So American Express, Microsoft, and Goldman Sachs have already started the process of moving their workers, their employees, back to the office, right? So attendance on Fridays is at 30%, Wednesdays is at 46%. So you see that middle of the week, that's how they're going to start to get you back, the middle of the week. And I got to tell you, those are the days that we really have like our strongest, or our most challenging commutes: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. And those are the days when most people kind of regret their working decision, right? So again, here you go. A number of other companies. So some more companies that are kind of clawing back their employees back to the office: Apple, Capital One, we already talked about, Comcast, and the New York Times company. We've already discussed that. So some much of the opposition she heard from workers said they were productive at home, found it easier to have a personal life and remote work with remote work, and saw some competitors take the leap to permanent flexibility. Now, I think that this is where you're going to start to see that a lot of the companies are going to start working together. Whereas you would think that if Google provides a work from home opportunity, then they're kind of messing with Facebook, because those two entities are kind of recruiting similar talent. But if they both decide that you have to come to work, then it takes off of that competitive advantage, and so now you're just competing on location, perks, and the salary that they offer you, right? Um, So again, we've kind of covered most of the major talking points here. Lastly, just consider this: Northern Virginia is a big white collar environment, so knowledge work environment. So the effects of remote work are more drastic here. Like, we even saw it in our traffic patterns. Like, the pandemic caused a lot of our traffic to kind of just disintegrate overnight, because so many of our workers, or so many of our employment base, is more knowledge work. And what that means is, and this will make sense to you when you consider that we have like some of the highest concentration of PhD candidates outside of Cambridge, right? Two degree households, or master's degrees. All of that's within the Northern Virginia region. So that means that individuals who work here are sometimes upper level management, sometimes C-suite executives. Those individuals they made some decisions last year, right? Where they either bought bigger homes further away from the office. And I got to say, 45 minutes is really like the ideal commute for most people. Like, that's like the maximum we're seeing. Most people say that a one way, we're talking about one way too, where life becomes uncomfortable. And so 45 minutes from Tyson's gets you into some parts of Loudon. But if you try to purchase something on the outskirts of Middleburg or something like that, then that just makes that your commute becomes something that you do not look forward to every day. And we could potentially start to see some sales. This is my prediction. My prediction is that we're going to start to see more transactions in the Stafford, Fredericksburg, Manassas, outskirts of Loudoun, like past Ashburn, where people are trying to get more land. And we're going to start to see more transactions as people move back in to either inside the Beltway, which is like that Arlington, City of Alexandria, parts of Falls Church, um, and also parts of Fairfax County, or even closer to just outside the Beltway. So either Tyson's, Fairfax proper, Springfield, if you want a bigger property, just so that they can now um, settle for a smaller property, but get a more manageable commute. That's just what I see. What do you think? What are you seeing out there? Did you purchase a property yourself? I want to hear from the people in the audience. Did you purchase a property last year or 2 years ago during the pandemic because you thought you were going to work from home permanently? Right? A lot of and look, there's I know that some people will feel bad about their decision, or they may start to regret their decision to make a purchase last year or even 18 months ago, because a lot of employers were saying, right, we really enjoy working from home, we really enjoy this environment, and people made decisions on that. Love to hear your thoughts about this. Love to hear if you think that the remote work process or this remote work journey is going to continue. Do you think that there's going to be a lot of pushback from employees? Do you think that workers are going to have enough um, influence with their employers to maybe change the way we structure work? I mean, that's going to have a negative impact on commercial real estate, right? Because there's a lot of leases that are out right now where the businesses are located. That's going to have a negative impact on those business district type places, right? Just if you're not familiar with the area, just think of a place where a lot of high rises or commercial buildings where it's really just a bunch of offices, right? Where people only come in between 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it's a ghost town after 6 p.m., right? Those types of areas are pretty much developed, or yeah, have been developed just for office workers, right? So remote work has um, it's going to be interesting how remote work kind of reshapes those areas. But then the positives for remote work is that, again, it's less stress on the employee. Um, Also, you have a much more relaxed. Um, I guess it depends. Depends on what you're reading. You could have a more relaxed work life balance, right? Because you're working in an environment that's a little bit more comfortable for you. It's a little bit more relaxed. You're surrounded by your personal effects. But then another negative that you have is that some employees believe that because they don't go into the office, that they may be overlooked for raises or even advancements in a company. So remote work, it's still an experiment that's going on right now. This October this year, we're going to really see just how much influence or how much pressure employers are going to put on employees as the larger companies, excuse me, September, October, we're going to see just what just how much influence the larger employers who are going to go first at trying to get their employees back. If they are successful, I don't see how this is going to stop with the smaller employers. Let me know your thoughts. My name is Abraham Walker with the Northern Virginia Real Estate. I'm your Northern Virginia real estate agent. This is where to live in Northern Virginia. We do videos about the Northern Virginia market with the hopes that you watch our video and you say to yourself, you know what, that Abraham guy, he's a cool fella. I think I would love for him to assist me in purchasing a home? If that's the case, click the link below to the perfect home questionnaire. We'll schedule a time to meet via Zoom. You'll be laughing just like these individuals as we come to a conclusion about your home search in the area, right? So there's a link in the description for that. Thank you all so much for watching. Doing a show at this time of night. We did a survey last week where some people said some of the most of the surveys responses said that you all would like to see more content as as far as live streams after 6 p.m. So this is the after 6 p.m. show to see how it goes. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this topic. If you leave a comment down below, I'll answer it later on. Other than that, I'll stay on for a few more minutes, answer any questions that come through, ask me anything about real estate or in general, and I'll do my best to answer. Lena S, thank you so much for chiming in today. Lena S says she agreed to something earlier about the remote work conversation. So I appreciate Lena joining us today. Do do do. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions for this evening, thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next video. Peace.